At this time, I need a motion to return to open session.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say motion, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Down to our next item, we're down to our approval of our minutes, our December 14, 2020 meeting, and approval of those minutes.
So moved.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Here none, I call for the vote. All those in favor say motion, saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Then we're down to our special recognition. Dr. Goodwin.
Yes, January is always designated as School Board Recognition Month. And I think it goes without saying that being a school board member is one of those jobs that sometimes I wonder why people would want the job, quite honestly, because it's in the role of politics, probably one of the more thankless jobs that there is. We're blessed in Chesterfield County with a dedicated group. Our school board is of an interesting makeup because we have folks who are relatively new to the board. Then we have a group who is sort of in a mid-tenure length, and then we have some who are very long tenure, which I think brings real stability to our school district. And to that, you're to be thanked. We will let our areas do some recognition. I'm sure it will be different than it has been in the past, just like everything is with COVID, but no less want to know how much you are appreciated, your dedication to the children and staff of Chesterfield County. Tonight, though, we do have two special recognitions, and it happens that both of them are being recognized for their 15th school board service, 15th year. That really doesn't run exactly with the elected years. I would guess that the elected years are actually closer to 16, but the way the School Boards Association does the calculations, we are recognizing the 15th year for both Ms. Kim Birch and for Mr. Wesley Miles. And so we'd like to congratulate them on 15 years. Your certificate and your lapel pin are both on your table. And thank you for what you do for the children of Chesterfield County Schools.
First, you want to make any comments?
It's been rewarding, and I appreciate being able to come back and serve this long.
I was about to say, it's, at times it's challenging. I think this year has been the most challenging year I've been on the board. We've always had challenges, but we've always seen them come together and be able to get through them. And I hope this will be another one we'll be able to get through. At times, it's, like I said, challenging, but most of all, it's rewarding when we're able to accomplish some of the things we have for our children in this county. Working with a group of people, everybody bringing a different perspective that helps us be able to accomplish what we have accomplished. I'm really thankful for the group I've worked with. But for saying that, I'll just say, it's a different kind of job. Moving on to our next part of our agenda, down to our national board move. Dr. Anderson will come forward with that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, currently our district has 29 national board certified teachers. And this evening, we'd like to recognize Ms. Rebecca Susan Sellers for renewing her national board certification. Ms. Sellers is an 8th grade social studies teacher at Long Middle School and has been teaching a total of 29 years, with 22 of those years being with us. According to her principal, Ms. Sharper Ellaby, Ms. Sellers is a joy to work with and can always be depended upon to do what's best for students. She has an uncanny ability to welcome every student and make them feel as if they're the best students she has ever taught. Ms. Sharper Ellaby went on to say that Ms. Sellers is very flexible and is not afraid to move forward with time to meet the needs of all of her students. Whether it's moving to a new grade level or learning new software, she embraces change to get the job done. This evening, all of us are very, very proud of Mrs. Sellers' accomplishment, which is a testament to her willingness and determination to be a lifelong learner. She's certainly tuning in, I'm sure of that. So if you don't mind, please join me in congratulating her with a nice round of applause.
At this time, we're down to our financial report. Mr. Willard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good evening. Have before you the December 2020 monthly review. Be happy to entertain any questions or notate any comments regarding that.
Please.
I will say that the upcoming board work session will give you a little bit more information as far as mid-year review and comparison from year to year based on everything that has been happening with COVID and continuing resolution. So we'll have some more information.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going down to our personnel report. Dr. Bennett.
All right, Mr. Chairman, at this time, members of the board, at this time, I would like to recommend the following exhibits for your approval. Exhibits A through C.
Right. Motion is second on the floor. You discuss. Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor say motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried.
Okay. Moving on with our monthly COVID update. We'll report for you all. This data reflects the first 18 weeks, first semester of our school year. First week beginning August 24th through last Friday, January 8th. We certainly have experienced some of our highest numbers the week after Thanksgiving and so far the week after the winter break. So let's see. These numbers here. As you can see, week 16 was high with 11 until last week when we actually exceeded that number with 15 positive staff cases. Looking at our student cases, positive cases, week 15, 16, and 17 were pretty high as well, but particularly in comparison to our first 14 weeks. Last week's numbers, student positives, that's a new high for us, and that's 21. And 21 during the week of January 11th, last week.
Are we, through the contact tracing and things like that, are we are these positives from the school, or are they gonna be from outside the district while they're at home?
The majority, to be honest with you, based on our nurses, lead nurse, they're not inside the school as far as where the issue is from.
If this surge continues, as some of the crews indicated, what's plan B?
We have talked with, Superintendent Spearman's office. I spoke with them last week and again today. The path that they would like us to take, like school districts to take, would be to go through and instead of closing the district or closing, the whole thing down and going to at-home learning, would be to go to a model where we close individual schools, much like you're seeing in other places in the state, for a period of time. I will tell you that we are looking at some modifications to our current instructional schedule that we may implement as early as this week and into next week. One of the things that we have noticed is that we seem to get sort of clusters of things coming in, which means that we also get clusters where they are coming off of quarantine. As you saw from the data, it's the quarantines that are really putting the sort of screws to the operation of the district. It's not the positives. So we're going to be looking at some different options on some schedule changes to maybe try to spell ourselves at times so that we can get some breaks to sort of go a while, then recover for a short period of time, and then go a while more.
How will your one-to-one hardware be phased into that strategy?
Well, obviously, if we can ever get the hardware in off the slow boat from China, it will be quickly configured and delivered. Obviously, they come to us pre-configured. So we would have the option then that we could, distribute those devices. We already have a lot of devices on hand, obviously, for our virtual students. So that would be, an idea that as quickly as we could make use of those when they come in. I think that it's also worth saying at this point that it does appear that, and I'm going to speak a little bit about this under superintendent's comments, it does appear that we're going to have the ability to buy additional devices. The question will be, and we'll be talking about that in the work session, will be how you implement a true one-to-one environment so that we can get to the point that we are a readiness district, a e-learning readiness district. And for instance, be able to take some days throughout the year without making them up.
Well, right now, with the cases, for whatever reasons, going up, I'm getting calls both ways. Some parents, teachers, they say that maybe it's too hot. Maybe we need to look at some type of hybrid model. I'm looking at some parents, teachers that say it's better for the kids to be in school. I understand we have the issue with one-to-one, but I want to always put safety first. And I really say maybe a respite to see where we are. I would rather do that, or at least entertain that thought. If the cases are going to continue to escalate, just to give us time to see where we are, to come up with a more effective strategy. But obviously, whenever I entertain those thoughts, and so we meeting as a board, we talking about this. They ask questions like, well, when is the new hardware coming in, if that's the issue?
Yeah.
When is the one-to-one going to be implemented? When is the internet and the broadband going to be available throughout the county? So obviously, these are questions that we can't answer. But we do have to make a decision around safety. And I'm sure you've already thought about it 1,000 times.
Well, definitely, and you are right. There are two schools of thought that are floating around out there. One is that When we're in school, our numbers and our spread seem to be less in the counties than when we're out. And I was speaking with two of my fellow superintendents late this afternoon, and one of them is on e-learning right now for a few weeks, and his numbers in the county are absolutely out of this world high. And then another fellow superintendent, neighbor superintendent, who's on the schedule very much like ours, and his numbers look kind of like ours. Now, I'm not saying that one leads to the other. Right? Please don't. But it is odd because the superintendent with the very high number says, "Well, I don't know what to do now." He said, "Because for me to say we're coming back, people are going to think I've lost my mind." He said, "But you're sitting there relatively next door to me, and your numbers are relatively low compared to the state, and y'all are in." He said, "So I don't quite know what to say." But I do think that there is some opportunity to do some different flexing of schedules. Also, though, keeping in mind that parents, they do depend on us to be open when we can for ability to work and childcare issues. So we're going to try to put out some possibilities, well, not possibilities. We're going to put out some guidance tomorrow on some things that we're going to try and see if it helps. We may wish we hadn't, but we're going to try a couple of things.
Okay, and last thing on that is maybe we could put out some kind of email or some kind of public communication to say where are we at, what are we doing, what are we thought, so that reception doesn't become reality.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we plan to put out is, here's where we are, here's some things we're going to do moving forward, and like I say, we not going to make a dramatic change in course, but we are going to make some adjustments.
On that same note, Dr. Goodwin, my concern is we talk about safety. In fact, the basement community, in fact, I just found out today that the McBee girls basketball team was quarantined because of one student tested positive. How are we monitoring those types of activities?
Well, we had actually gotten a little break on the athletics for a little bit where they weren't impacting. Remember, there was that period of time the winter athletics were really impacting us. So that's another one of those that's on the table. You probably are aware that Darlington has suspended all athletic activities. Horry County has suspended all athletic activities. A number of the districts have. I'm not sure that in our adjustment of schedules, that's one of those pieces that we're going to put out tomorrow. But, if we're going to cancel school or we're going to change school schedule, we also got to do the same thing with athletics.
I agree.
We cannot ignore one over the other.
I agree, because I'm understanding some of our basketball teams have only played 2 or 3 games only for the entire season. So, I mean, we're going to have a short season anyway, but where safety is concerned, I really think if we see other districts are taking that approach, I think we should be also taking on those terms as well.
Yes, sir. No doubt. Because we know that the potential is there for quick impact from sports. We've seen that. So that would be our take.
I've got several calls about that.
Yeah, I assume the high school league haven't weighed in on this. They're gonna leave it up to the districts.
The high school league has taken the stance of, it's basketball season, it's wrestling season.
Yeah.
That's their stance.
Which is another contact sport. Very.
Question right now, and I promise this is the last question I have. If a parent wants to put their child virtually and has the technology, has the Wi-Fi, et cetera, can they have that option?
I can't say that across the board they do, because it does now, since we restaff after November, it does have to do with available seats that we have. Because obviously, if we have a run of 4th graders at whatever school and we have 60 who want to go virtual, but we've only got one teacher because originally only 28 wanted to go virtual, then we cannot accommodate them because we can't do that. But where there are individual spots, and Ms. Folsom, we've had some of that already.
Yes, and we've left it up to individual schools to
be able to accommodate.
Okay, so if I have a parent that's itching to call and they say, well, hey, I don't really feel safe with my child going to school. Obviously, we're going to direct you to the district office and you guys, but.
Actually,
There may
we
be
would
a-
direct them directly to the principal of the school.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But at this point, there may be some latitude, we're at least, entertaining the thought of possibly saying, well, if that parent can provide the technology access, we're gonna make sure we can staff, or have the staff available. to provide the-
If we have the staff available, yes, sir.
Let me ask you one question. Now, our computers, back is supposed to be admitted these systems, you heard that it's going to be admitted January. Have we heard anything, mid-January, have we heard anything yet?
We have not had any updates to this point on the actual hit the coast date, so we do not have a date.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got a quick question on athletics. What's our capacity that we're running right now? Because I've had some folks that have contacted me and said that, capacity is definitely more than, I don't know if we're running 50% or what, but they said there's a whole lot more than whatever our capacity is.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Batson, since that's his area.
Yes, sir. The capacity that we're running would be technically less than half, but right at it. So what we did in our gym, looked at what our code capacity was. Then we went in there and did some measuring of our own, the athletic directors did. And so we should be running at a number that is slightly less than half, but very close to half.
Well, and one thought on that we may want to look at, but that's, I know one district, they had the peel down ladies, like these two chairs together. If they were socially distanced, and I'm saying maybe the stands and maybe afterward may not, but they would have a take down stick that you could sit, and you only sit in those designated areas. Maybe the same thing with the gym, I don't know.
And I will talk to our ADs. I know we did some taking off of areas, and we did some taking in terms of 6-foot social distancing. The other method that we were using to determine the number of occupants is because we are cashless and using e-tickets. And so we were only selling the number of e-tickets that matched what we were allowing in the gym. Now, I can't tell you that other people, maybe we didn't allow for a number of coaching passes that showed up. There are other ways that people get in, but we tried to base our e-ticket sales to match the capacity that we would allow in the gym.
And last thing that I know Moore County has done with the abstract test, they are using the gymnasium and the common area and having the designated seat in those areas to make sure we keep that social distance.
All right, looking at our staff, isolations and quarantines. First 14 weeks, you combine those first week 1 through week 14, it's about 94 isolations and quarantines. The last 4 weeks, we're at 79. So again, those numbers have gone up. Our staff isolations and quarantines. Student. Last week, we had 136, which is our second highest. Again, the last 4 consecutive weeks have been pretty high. Compared to the first 14 weeks. Last week at 136. We wanted to also just give you a snapshot of our COVID numbers by area and time. So this is actually, these are numbers by area the week before Christmas or the week before the winter break. So I think that's the week of December 14th, okay? So we'll show you the week of the week before Christmas. Next slide, the actual winter break, which is that 2-week span.
Dr. Anderson, so we don't believe all were reported during that.
We don't.
We do those 2 weeks.
and the week after the winter break, which takes us back to last week.
What did Matthew do, what Matthew after the break, do you know what to do in other areas?
They did something.
You're right.
Well, I would ask the same question, only what should all be different after the break. They went from being in last place to first place.
As a final slide, last Friday, that's why we want to make sure that we indicate that date on the bottom, because it changes from day to day, sometimes hour to hour, surveying our principals. It's a brief, obviously a quick survey as it relates to the staff or our workforce. This was last Friday. Teaching staff, 3 of our principals said that they were at 100%. You see 13, which is between 75 and 99%. Custodial staff, and then food service. Okay. Any other questions?
I would, with those numbers, so you have something that they have, 75 up. They have 75, that's full with staff. We have is online, I know we got the number of prices.
Well, we obviously have the good fortune that we have a number of students who are online, so we have some staff available in the buildings. Not only that, but we made available to principals if they did not have staff who were free at the beginning of the year, we allowed them to hire a substitute a month at a time, so that they were there every day, so that they needed somebody to plug into a hole very quickly, they could. So we still got that going. So we're doing a lot of creative things to staff.
Thank you. One more question about percentages. What kind of, what's gonna be your threshold to really start making some changes?
Well, DHEC will tell you, just like they do with the flu, that when you get impacted 10% positives in a school, then you're on the line. We haven't been anywhere near 10%. Of course, I'm fortunate, and I'll keep my fingers crossed. We've never been there with flu either in our school district, and we know, stomach viruses and flu. We've seen that happen in other schools, but our biggest fear is not positives right now. Our biggest fear is not having enough adults to properly supervise and operate. And if we get to the point we can't do that, then that's going to be the force that makes us have to close.
So DHEC will let you know like they did the week before Christmas with the Edwards, right?
Yes, sir.
It was time to go.
Yeah, they were telling us, you're right on the verge. Yes, sir.
And how does that apply to virtual teaching? For example, let's say you have 15 in traditional classroom. Does that teacher have the same capacity if she's teaching ELP, teaching virtual?
Well, we don't teach two ways, meaning we don't have virtual and live at the same classroom. So virtual can continue as long as we've got the staff.
Thank you.
Think about that. We're down to our written report. Ms. Folsom.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'd like to highlight some items from your December 2020 curriculum report. We began Kindergarten Connection Program this past Monday, actually today. Kindergarten students needing additional support in literacy will be receiving intensive instruction with a certified teacher. Each teacher will work with small groups of students, no more than 3 students at a time, for 30 minutes, 3 to 4 days a week. I'd also like to highlight our adult ed program. For the first time, we had graduation in December. We invited 55 graduates to participate, and we had 24 of those graduates that did come and participate on December 15th at Chesterfield Middle School in the gym. You also had a memo in your portal. There were questions about MAP testing and our growth with MAP. The curriculum department analyzed our MAP scores from winter time. And you have a chart there that compares where our students were winter of last year in December to students this December winter MAP scores. So that gives you an idea of how far our kids are off from where they were scoring last year at each grade level. If you're looking at it in your portal, some of the things that we noted, there are greater differences in the lower grade levels. For example, in first grade, in math, there was a 9-point difference from 2019 to December of 2020. I also noted that when you got to the higher grade levels, for example, 7th grade ELA winter of 2020, scores were actually 2 points higher this year than they were last year. So when you look at that chart, it gives you an idea of how our students are faring during COVID. Obviously, it is having a greater impact on our lower grade level students.
If I could also mention, conventional wisdom going into COVID when the shutdown occurred was that ELA was going to be the area that was going to suffer the most. And it is borne out nationwide that it's not ELA that suffered the most, it was mathematics that suffered the most. And the thought process is now that kids read things when they're at home. They don't sit down and do math problems when they're at home. And so at least, some students were reading during the time away. The other thing that's interesting, and it's going to take some dissecting, but today the Education Oversight Committee released a report on virtual versus in-person learning and what's going on there. It brings about a lot of information just in a quick overview that I had of things that we already knew, which was in a lot of cases, students who chose to go virtual were ones that if we had our choice, we wanted them here with us because they were some of our most needy academic students. That appears to be the case statewide. And also this loss in mathematics appears to be highlighted in that report. We were a participating district in that report, and I was the last superintendent who was they met with, and when we met with them, it was quite interesting that everything I said that we were seeing, they would just sort of shake their head and go, yep, that's what's going on. And so we really aligned with the report. If you have not received that report in your email today, I'll be happy to forward it to you, but I think you got it because typically school board members get the Oversight Education Committee reports.
Question, Ms. Lowe, I like the report, but can we get this report breakdown by school?
I do have it available by school, but I was trying to do a one-page memo.
Okay.
We can email it to you.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, be happy to.
Yes, look, I noticed that Dr. Nancy Miller, congratulations on her for getting her doctorate degree, that she's getting ready to serve on the South Carolina Department of Education Virtual Instruction Task Force, as well as the State Department of Education. What's the information about?
Well, they called and asked me if I would be willing to let her serve. This is on the technology and what it's going to take for our teachers to really be effective in online education, in teaching children, and what needs to be done as a state to prepare teachers to teach virtually. And so she's been named to that task force to identify those things that are necessary for teachers to be prepared. And obviously, we're coming from the side of a district that did not have one-to-one devices, who has the greatest hill to climb. And so that was why they wanted her to serve.
So I'm hoping it's going to come out of that committee then that we basically will be able to go to some virtual school concept once we get out of this pandemic. That's going to be a plan for the students.
Yes, sir. I think virtual education is here to stay. You know, it was already beginning to be that way, and I'll use for instance that dual credit courses. You know, most of our dual credit students are a virtual environment, and you know, things are moving that way. So I think that virtual education in some form or fashion is here to stay for us. This was just the tipping point that pushed us.
Okay, last question. I want to have you send out that report about pursue the map test. Let me see something.
Sure thing.
I got one question about the break-in we had electronically in the system. Where are we with that? And with everything going, all of us going electronically, just kind of what kind of preventative measures do we have going forward?
Okay, and I was going to hit that in my superintendent's report, but if it's okay, I'll go ahead and do it now. Which is, I alerted you to the fact that we had a sort of a different kind of cyber attack on the district before break. This was different in that they were not looking for personally identifiable information, or PII, which is typically they're looking for social security numbers and, you know, contact information. This was not that type of a cyber attack. This was one where they were trying to harness our processor power to do what is called cyber mining, which is crypto mining. And what they're trying to do is find cryptocurrency and to do that. We obviously took steps. We did all the reports to the State Department and also to SLED. Basically, they took it as information because this is not the kind that they really investigate. As part of our insurance coverage, we activated our insurance coverage, and a group that is world-renowned in this area, Kroll International is guiding us. We are actually changing a number of the filtering or the cleaning softwares that we use. In fact, what's it called? Carbon black. Carbon black is what has been used. We've done that. We will also be, doing some more robust things with our firewall. Although, quite honestly, this does not appear to have come through our firewall. It appears to have been attached to a download that actually remained silent for as much as maybe a month. So it just sat, and then it was set to trigger at some point. Again, what we noticed, the symptoms were just a slowdown in our network. And we started seeing that our virus protection stuff was having to do attacks to clean stuff up, but we really didn't know what was happening. So that was where we, that was why we activated everything. But we are very clean. In fact, I got an email just as this meeting started, which was the first one I've got today, and that's down from, say, 35 and 40 emails a day from Kroll on incidents that they were watching. So it's very under control. This was not ransomware. They didn't take over our stuff and then say you have to pay. This was strictly trying to harness our processor power. And boy, have I gotten a lesson, because I had no clue what I just said to you. A month ago, I wouldn't have even been able to say those words.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Foley.
Thank you.
This time we're down to the superintendent report. Dr. Goodman.
Okay, as happens a lot of times with our information, we talked about some instructional updates. I will be getting an email out to you in the morning, mid to late morning, and then we will be working to release some information tomorrow afternoon on some things that we're going to do there. The FCCRA leave, I sent you an email about that. We were actually a little bit ahead of the state because we had gotten some advance notice that they suggested that we maintain the FCCRA even though it ran out. We are currently operating like we were in December. However, we may make some small adjustments in how we grant leave, because if you remember, the number of quarantine days and the number of isolation days have been reduced, and we may issue some temporary policy that more aligns with that. You know, it's sad to say that you have something good like this that from time to time, you know, people aren't completely forthright. We will be dealing with those individuals as individuals. It's not appropriate for us to punish the entire staff for what a few choose to do that it's not ethical. So we will handle that as a district ethical policy that is in alignment with our employment ethical practices. So, you know, that, you know, we're not going to let that run. You do know that then the State Department came out the very next day, put out a memo that they wanted us to be sure that we were you know, continuing that they strongly encouraged. At this point, I also want to throw in the ESSER 2 money, because that was noted in there that we would be receiving ESSER 2 money. The latest stimulus package that was passed will have additional monies for K-12 education. And while we do not have numbers yet, we do know that that is a significantly larger hit than the amount that we got previously. We obviously are being very strategic. Some districts are spending their money like there's no tomorrow, and they're just spending it. And what we're trying to do is strategically make a long-term positive impact out of COVID using the resources that we get. So we don't know the guidance on that yet. Mr. Willard, I think our meeting is Thursday online to get additional guidance on that.
There is one scheduled Thursday. I'm not sure what the content of that is.
Yeah, the way I understand it is they're going to probably roll out what our projected dollars are and then how that money has to be done. Folks, I will tell you, this is paperwork to get the dollars. And you know, we always run a pretty stretched machine to start with. So this is really stretching us, but it is good money, and it's money that we're going to be able to use for lasting impact. So when we talk to you about the technology portion in our work session, we're hoping that we will have that information so that we can blend that into how that fits into the overall picture. The procurement reports that we provide you annually are in your folder or in your portal. You will notice that there is a lot more sole source, definitely a lot more emergency procurement. We're all within state guidelines on this. In fact, to a large degree, a number of the requirements were waived once COVID hit, but we still have to report when we waiver outside of normal policy. So you'll notice that that all of those are in there. And in addition is the minority vendor report that is in the last page. And if there are any questions about those, Mr. Willard, I'll be happy to work through those with you. Yes.
This sole source that we're looking at,
in some cases they are, for instance, the very first one, that's the control management that controls all of our HVAC systems and all of those. That's annually. So obviously we can't go and change from the one we have now without a huge capital outlay. So each year we renew with them, you know, for that amount. So we do have renewals.
but so sources, all that we contract on the outside.
No, sir. There are a lot of other things that we contract through bidding process, and also that we contract through the state procurement process. Yeah. So those would not be reflected in this report.
The sole sources, they would be bid or they're not bid.
Typically, a sole source is not bid because it matches into something that we would have to make a significant change. For instance, some of our hearing impaired apparatus, if we change vendors, we would have hundreds of thousands of dollars of outlay as opposed to 10,000 to renew the contract each year.
Glad to see us use people in the county, because those people on those businesses hire people to get taxes like myself, and they see the school district is the highest one. They work with those people, so I'm glad to see us use people in the county.
Yes, sir, and obviously on emergency procurement, that's typically the way we go because we need them here quick. So.
Quick question back to the stimulus money. I'm not saying, excuse me, corona money. Is that going to come restricted, and does it come with a time limit on how soon the money needs to be spent?
You're talking about the ESSER 2?
Yeah, right.
The new one? Don, can we speak to that?
Yes, sir.
Real quick. Lots of unanswered questions about that. We're not sure when we're gonna get it. We're not sure if it's gonna be distributed to us or if it will be reimbursable. We get the sense that this is gonna be reimbursable, which means we have to spend and claim.
Right.
So we've got a mixture. We've got a little bit that we've gotten as a distribution. We've got others, the vast majority has to be claimed. We get the sense that there will be some more flexibility with the second stimulus package. But we do not anticipate that's going to get us very broad flexibility and latitude as far as spending how you want it. I seriously doubt that's going to happen. They have not given us a time frame on when it's got to be spent. Honestly, the feeling across the state is there's going to be substantial pressure to spend what we have in those time frames we have now, which stretch out to 2022. So you've got this big chunk of money coming in. Everybody in the nation, because this is federal money, is going to be looking to buy the same things. It's going to be really, really tough to spend these in ways that are beneficial, that are not wasteful. And we are hoping and we are fighting to get as long as we can to spend these. But we do not know what the federal government's going to say about that.
Okay, and I'm hoping they'll allow us to have some innovative thoughts. For example, what are the new technology trends coming? Do they allow us to make those future investments now, even in the classroom? What are some of the new changes we made in the classroom if we're going to go completely to a virtual platform at a later date, or if we ever decide to go to a virtual platform? So, but again, if they're restricted, it's definitely going to limit that to a great degree, or if it's going to be required to speak about certain data, that's going to hamper what you can do. Okay.
Guaranteed you'll have restrictions and limitations
Yeah.
on those time and procurement materials.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else before we go ahead? The spelling bee is virtual this year, and so that will be coming up on Thursday of this week. I want to remind you that Friday, January 15th is an early dismissal day. That originally was supposed to be the end of the semester, and we did not move that date. And Monday, January 18th is a holiday. I would also say that we've got 2 late days, January 26th and February 4th. Those are actually set aside for parent conferences, but of course those are done via phone or virtual. But that will be some time, and then we give that time back to the teachers where they are off then on a staff development day. I do want to let you know that the Teacher Forum has been working on options on the 21-22 calendar. We are a little bit behind, not a lot behind, but we should be bringing you soon a recommendation on that calendar. I will tell you that the drafts that I have worked with them on look very similar to what we were supposed to have for this school year. In fact, both the options appear to be the two options we gave last year. So a very traditional school calendar.
I got a quick question on the spelling bee. Is it gonna be online where folks can see it? Do we know that? Yes, no?
That working on the format.
Not yet, she has not.
We'll see if we can get it on the same YouTube channel that we do the board meeting.
I mean, I'm just thinking it might be nice to,
Yeah.
we can get it out and parents and whatnot be able to see.
The spelling bee will be written. She will call out words and each child will write
Oh, okay.
at their school. So they'll be individual in a room with a teacher, and then Beth Huff will be calling the words out via Zoom. And so it will be hard to tell
Okay.
exactly what each child is doing, but we can work to get it broadcast so that parents can see. Of course, it'll be like the Hollywood squares,
Right.
with each of the students in their square sitting at their desk writing the words.
And by the way, this is all in line with the scripts spelling bee, because we are a part of that. So we didn't make all this up on our own. This is the guidance sheet. Okay, Mr. Chair, I think that concludes my remarks.
We're down to chairman's comments. January 25th will be our board work session. And I know it's gonna be virtual. Again, we said we want to do PLC instead of district office.
Yeah, I think we would change the location to here if a number of you want to come in person. If, we may go ahead and poll you to see if you plan to come in person or virtual. If we're going to have a large group virtual, we can do it from our office. We're good to do it either way, but I think with the information, it'd be just as easy to do it virtual if you'd like to. And we do have post agenda items in your folder.
Okay, and our following meeting will be on February 8th, 2021, we'll be here at Palmetto at 5:30. Executive session starts at 5. No other business. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor say motion, saying aye. Opposed, like sign.